So we're learning the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch section 305, halacha 9. A donkey commonly goes out with a saddle blanket, even when it is not carrying a burden, but the saddle blanket remains on its back, because by nature donkeys feel cold. Right? The Gemara says that donkeys, even in Tammuz, which is the month that it's the hottest month, Chamor, but even the Tammuz clearly is always cold. So the blanket always stays on his back. It's called a saddle blanket because it keeps his back not scratched up from, not bruised from the saddle. So they have the blanket that protects his back. So indeed, they feel cold even in the hottest part of the summer, so a saddle blanket is provided to warm them. If the saddle blanket was tied to the donkey on Friday, it is permitted for the donkey to go out while wearing the blanket on Shabbos. Yeah. Since the saddle blanket is considered the donkey's garment. However, the saddle blanket was not tied to the donkey should not go out while wearing it. This is a decree instituted lest the blanket fell off the donkey and the owner bring it home by hand. On Shabbos itself, it is impossible to tie the blanket around the donkey because one must come very close to the donkey and lean on it somewhat in order to tie it. He will be making use of an animal, and that is forbidden for the reason to be explained. So what did we learn?
You have to keep it.
First of all, a saddle blanket is allowed to go with it because it's like it's not a burden for him. It's a garment, and it warms him up.
Keeps him warm.
But if that's all is correct, if he tied it before Shabbos, right?
Right.
But if it's not kshua, if it's not tied, if it's untied, then it's a problem. You should not go out with it because there's a concern that it would fall off and then he will carry it.
Right, the guy will carry it. So,
and you're not allowed to tie it on Shabbos because if you didn't tie it before Shabbos and you are tying it on Shabbos, there's a concern that you might use the animal by leaning on it or whatever it is, and you're not allowed to use the animal. So a donkey should not, however, go out wearing a saddle, even though it was strapped to the donkey on Friday, because the saddle does not warm the donkey. It is not common for a donkey to go out wearing a saddle, unless it is carrying a burden. Other animals should not go out even wearing only a saddle blanket, because it is not common for them to go out with one unless they are carrying a burden, since they do not need to warm themselves as a donkey does.
I wonder if he's going to ever get to about the stupid little dogs that people have in New York.
Right.
And they put little
sweaters
on the dogs.
1 second. So with a saddle, he said you shouldn't go out with it because it's not warming him up.
Right.
And it's not the way to go out with it. And other animals, even with a blanket, a saddle blanket, should not go out because they don't need it.
Right.
They don't need to be warmed up like the donkey does.